What's up, everybody? This is Ted Karras with the Cincinnati Bengals and the Cincy Hat, and you're watching Bengals and Brews.
Welcome, everybody. I'm Dale, joined by BSG and Pork Chop, and special guest today, the man, the myth, the legend, Jay Morrison. How's summer treating you, buddy?
Oh, it's great. This is my favorite time of year. You get to kick your feet up a little bit, take it easy, wait for the 3 weeks from today. The grind starts with mock turtle soup.
Starts all over again, fresh and new. What's Jay do during this few-week vacation? Like, you got the best lawn in the neighborhood? You checking out any good concerts?
Yeah, right. Concerts for sure, I'll bet you.
Yeah, I do have some concerts. I turned into a lawn guy over COVID, and so I do enjoy that. I just a few hours ago went and rented a chainsaw because we had a part of a tree come down on the storms on Friday, and I was freelancing for the Associated Press covering the Reds this weekend, so I haven't been able to cut it up yet. But yeah, just still writing some, obviously, but not as much, and taking it easy. The family and I had a beach vacation a couple weeks ago, so you find things to pass the time.
Very nice.
Well, I guess we'll start with AFC North news, not necessarily the Bengals, but big trade today. Everybody saw Jalen Ramsey going to the Steelers. People were like, oh, AFC North is loading up, this, that, and the other. Then it starts to trickle out. Minkah Fitzpatrick is going back to Miami in that deal. Jonnu Smith also going to Pittsburgh. So what are your thoughts on that trade? They're losing Minkah, but gaining Jalen Ramsey and Jonnu Smith for the Steelers.
Yeah, it's kind of surprising. I actually did a Steelers podcast this morning, and the instant we hung up, the news broke, and it was perfect timing for them. I'm a little surprised by it. I get that Jalen Ramsey's a really good corner, but it just feels like they're kind of going all in on this year. You know, Aaron Rodgers probably 1 year left. He said as much. I don't know if I believe it or not, but how much longer does Jalen Ramsey have? Minkah, I mean, I bet Jamar Chase is thrilled. He torched Jalen Ramsey in the Super Bowl a couple times, and he struggled with Minkah. So he gets rid of one problem and gets a friendly face, I guess you would say, coming to the Steelers to play twice a year. It does make their defense better, even with losing Minkah. I do think that defense is going to be a problem this year, but just the chaos that surrounds Aaron Rodgers. It feels like this might be the year that Mike Tomlin does not have a winning record, and it might not just be 8-9. I have a feeling things could go really south there, especially you got all these older guys. The expectations are high, and if Aaron Rodgers is a bit of a problem or some things start going wrong, I could see things going south in a hurry in Pittsburgh.
Greg,
you think that it was whose decision do you think it was to bring Aaron Rodgers into Pittsburgh? You think Mike?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good. Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I'm sure there were conversations and they all felt comfortable with him. And you could kind of tell by the way they were proceeding that they were expecting it all along. Oh, yeah. I don't know if Aaron kind of gave him a wink and a nod agreement that, you know, we'll make it look like it's up in the air, but it's going to happen. I'm just going to wait to announce it. And I expected a lot out of him with the Jets 2 years ago. Obviously, the injury derailed that. I thought the Jets were going to be a lot better last year. And, you've seen guys like Tom Brady that have been able to play deep into their careers. So I don't think, Aaron's age is an issue there, but sometimes guys, the bodies just break down, and the Achilles is one thing that is kind of an accumulated injury. But Aaron just didn't look the same last year. And I'm sure they'll kind of tailor the offense to work more with what he is now than what he was in the past. But I don't see that offense being very dynamic.
It's going to be a show.
Yeah. One way or another.
Right.
We got a super chat from Dustin Croft, and then Greg, I'll let you get one. But he says he's asking Jay, have you noticed teams are getting older on defense, which is surprising given defenses read and react and you need twitchy players? Is that something you've noticed as a trend as well for defenses?
I haven't really thought about it, but you see it's when you have good players, teams have a hole, they kind of look the other way on age and they'll bring them in, and it's usually on, deals kind of like what Aaron Rodgers, a 1 year thing. And I think that's why the Bengals are reluctant with Trey Hendrickson, where, yeah, he's really good, but he's going to be 31 this year. And you do start worrying about adding multiple years to guys that age. I do think twitchy is a very strong characteristic on defense, something you need. One of the reasons the Bengals struggled in recent years is all those young pieces kind of struggling to pick up Lou's complicated system and doing more thinking than reacting. And when you get the older guys that have seen a lot and done a lot, it's second nature to them. And it makes them desirable, and it kind of offsets age a little bit. Instincts can mask age to some degree.
Jay, so one big win for the Bengals last week. Hamilton County, the Bengals, it was just nonstop like the last 2 years, especially. It was back and forth with the stadium lease. Was there, in your opinion, ever any worry that an extension or a lease would not get done ever?
No, I fully. I mean, I thought we might have gotten to the point where they opted into the 2-year rollover, and maybe another one. But at some point, you knew it was going to get done. It's not feasible to think they could go to Boone County or Warren County or Butler County, where I live. The tax base just isn't there. A whole new stadium would have to be built. That's the Bengals have to pay even more money to do that. Even if they're only paying a portion of that stadium, it's still going to be a substantial cost, as opposed to what they're paying with the G5 loan from the league. So I never really thought that was a possibility, and I don't know that moving to another city, the Bengals certainly didn't want to do that. The NFL owners would have to approve that. I'm sure there would be a lot of pushback on that sort of thing. So it always felt like this was something that was going to get done, and I think that's why you saw. I mean, the county wanted to get a better deal, and they did, but that's why you saw the Bengals kind of cave in on some of those issues too. They know they got a really good deal last time. They made some concessions this time because they could talk about they were free to go other places, but realistically there weren't any other options.
Yeah. You kind of mentioned Trey's name, so I guess it's mandatory almost on all podcasts. You and Paul Daner try to have some fun with it, but any updates on the Trays of Our Lives situation? How do you think it play out? I've kind of said for a while I could see maybe they give him more money this year and try to have a handshake deal of not tagging him. That's just my prediction of how it could play out. But what are your thoughts on how it might play out, and would he actually be willing to miss a regular season game and all of camp?
Yeah, that's the question. I mean, it's easy to say in May that I'm not going to play on this deal, but it starts rolling into September, and you're talking about $1 million a week basically that you're giving up, and I'm not sure that he would do that. I'm not sure that he would accept a handshake deal. I think some trust has been broken there, and whatever they come up with he's going to want in writing. I get it from both sides, and to his credit, he's not asking. He could say, I led the league in sacks last year. I've been 17 and a half the last 2 years. I deserve to be the top paid edge rusher in the game. And he's not saying that. He's happy being in that top 5, top 6 range. But that still gets to middle $30 million a year. And the Bengals just don't seem willing to go there. And maybe they'll inch up. Last reports, it was going to be about 28 million a year. Maybe they inch up over 30, but it feels like this is really going to draw out, kind of like the Jamar thing last year. The Jamar thing, there was never really a doubt it was going to get done. It was just it would just win, not if. This feels like a major if, and it's not what you want to see. I mean, the slow starts are such an issue with this team. Even though Jamar won the Triple Crown last year, part of that slow start can be attributed to him not being there and not being on the field for all those practices. Even though Trey can do what he can do and he doesn't need to learn the defense, it is a new scheme, and you do have new pieces on that D line that would be beneficial for them to be working alongside Trey during training camp. Would have been beneficial during offseason too. So I'd be surprised if it's done before camp, and I'm really interested to see at what point it does either get done or come to a head.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I do have a question. If you're talking about defense, like you said, it's a new scheme. What can we expect this defense to look like with Al Golden?
Yeah, I think you're going to see more of those 5-man fronts. I think you're going to see also at time a lot more base with 3 linebackers on the field. As opposed to just nickel all the time. I think going out and getting Barrett Carter and Demetrius Knight points at that. I'm interested to see. You know, we saw a lot of this in training camp, and it's one of the big questions in my mind, or not training camp, in the offseason. We saw them moving the DBs all over the place, in the slot, outside. You know, I don't know if that's going to continue, and it's just going to be this kind of amoeba defense where guys can line up wherever, or if they were just cross training and preparing for the worst. You know, if Dax Hill isn't ready to come back off the injury, or if another injury strikes, you want guys prepared to be able to play in the slot that maybe haven't done it as much recently. And especially when, you know, if it is Dax Hill on the slot, which I think we all kind of suspect it will be, then Josh Newton would presume be next in line. And, you know, he was a rookie last year and he played some, but not a ton. They're really high on him. But I that's what I'm really interested to see what Al's going to do, and beyond just where the guys line up, how much press coverage and how much just man he's going to run, and trust the speed and the instincts of these guys like Dax and Cam Taylor-Britt, DJ Turner, elite athleticism on all those guys and great speed. And there was just a lot of too much thinking going on last year with loose schemes. So I would assume it'll be a little bit simpler, and just trust the athletes to go out and be athletes, instincts, reaction, and go from there. You don't need to be, they'd love to be a top 10 defense, but you don't need to be for this team to be successful. Just get up in that 14 to 18 area, and I think this team as a whole will be fine.
Yeah, Jay, you know, two guys, in my opinion, we talked about this on the show one time. Miles Murphy and Joseph Osai, both kind of, well, Osai's signed for a 1-year deal. Murphy, I think he has an option after that. Who has a bigger year this year to prove themselves between Murphy and Osai, in your opinion?
Oh, it's Murphy for sure. I mean, Joseph's already got paid. It is a 1-year deal, but it's a good. He's made his money now. You know, you can. He'll want to make more, of course, but you get into this. You make $8 million a year, and you kind of set yourself up for life if you're smart about it. And he's kind of already proved it. You know, he came on toward the end of last year. You want to see him do it over a full season, but he showed that spark last year. So I think it's Murphy. He's a first-round pick. Osai was a third-round pick, and the first 2 years have not been great for Miles Murphy. And the third year is when, you know, you kind of make the statement. They don't have to decide. He's got another year on that rookie deal, and then they have a 5th-year option too, because he is a first-round pick. So he could be here for a couple more years. But that third year is really where you kind of decide, okay, we hit on this guy or we didn't, and we need to start thinking about going in a different direction. So huge year for Miles Murphy to prove that he belongs.
Then another defensive end, Shamar Stewart, in that whole situation. Will in the chat was asking, like, the rights to him, what would that look like in a trade? I don't know. I don't think a trade is in the realm of possibilities of things that will happen with him. I also don't think he's going to re-enter the draft. I think eventually it's going to get done. That's just another thing of when, and it's probably going to be closer to camp, in my opinion. But what are your thoughts on Shamar Stewart and when they could come to terms? And it's basically just contract language that they're bickering over at this point, is it not?
It is, but it's one of those things where Shamar has said what he said, and he's done what he's done, or not done what he's not done, and not practiced, and it just doesn't make sense for him to cave at this point. You've waged this fight. You can't just give up now. And maybe the Bengals come back and rework some language elsewhere in the contract to get him to sign the clause that says they can void some of the guarantees. But it feels like this is a fight that he's dug in on, and you know, it's head scratching on the Bengals end. It's like, yeah, I know other teams have this clause in there, but you drafted this guy to be your succession plan for Trey Hendrickson. You drafted him, I would presume, to give you a little bit extra negotiating standing against Trey Hendrickson. Quit messing around and just get him on the field. And so that's what I think that one will be solved sooner. I just like with the stadium lease. I think the Bengals are going to have to make concessions and just say, okay, this isn't the year to bring in this new president. We'll let it be known to the first-round pick next year that we're going to ask him to sign this clause, but we're going to give up this fight. It's too important to have Shamar out there in camp. And the Bengals, the coaches talked about how, you know, they don't do a lot in the off season, and it's a lot of walkthroughs, and there's no 11 on 11, and the important stuff for those guys, for linemen, is technique and learning the speed of the NFL and all that, but the classroom stuff, and he was a part of all of that. He did all the off the field stuff, so that was the important thing. But now you get into training camp, it becomes a much bigger deal if he's not out there practicing.
Absolutely. You guys got one. I got
Was that
few
Chap?
more. Not.
You got one, Chap?
No, I was just with Shamar Stewart. I was just going to say, like, from my understanding, the Bengals, this is the third year in a row they've tried to put this clause into the contract, but the difference is Miles Murphy and Amarius Mims behind closed doors negotiated this out. If I'm the Bengals, I just feel like with the Bengals stubbornness and the way that Shamar came out and just like badmouth them, maybe this is the year they make it stick. Maybe this is the year that they plant their feet, because even if they do, this kid's going to sign. He's not going to go back in the draft, right? I mean, is there a possibility that he entertains the idea actually going back into the draft next year instead of signing the deal the way it is?
I mean, that option's available, but I'd be stunned to see that happen. The Bengals have done this before, though. I don't know if you guys know, but Ricky Hundley, they drafted. They couldn't sign him to a deal, and in October they dealt him to the Denver Broncos and ended up getting David Fulcher and Tim McGee out of it. And those two guys were big parts of the Super Bowl team. So there's some precedence here for this kind of thing happening, but that was 40 plus years ago. So I don't see it happening. And I just, I get where the Bengals are coming from, but if in a perfect world, if Trey Hendrickson is happy, they could stick to their guns, but you can't have both of those guys not practicing. And I do think they're just going to have to bite the bullet and wait till next year to get this clause in there.
Yeah, Jay, I tell you, you know who was a big winner of the NFL Bengals draft? Geno Stone. I mean, I was really high on the safeties in this draft.
Mm-hmm.
And so Geno Stone, he's got 1 year left to prove it. I mean, he did well near the end. What is your take on Geno Stone? How do you think Al Golden's going to use Geno Stone this year?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. I liked what I saw from him. He did play better at the end of the year. Everybody did. They went on that run. Even the defense, was bad as it was, it started to improve a little bit. I don't know if I'd classify him as a winner, because they did ask him to take a pay cut, and he agreed to it.
Weird.
But yeah, it is weird. But you're right. There's not a lot behind him. His job seems secure this year, and I think you'll see Al make him a true kind of a free safety. Jordan Battle is going to be more of the box guy. And they're going to have defined roles. I don't know how much single high he's going to play, but you do that. You build leads, which we all expect this offense can do, and then you have Geno Stone doing what he does best and being a ball hawk back there when the other team is forced to throw, and you get Shamar Stewart back and you get Trey Hendrickson in there, and you increase this pass rush. Osai, Murphy, all those guys take a step forward. This could be a big year. I know on Dan Hord's podcast, he asked all the beat writers 5 questions, and one of them was he asked for a hot take. And I'm not really a hot take guy, but I said my hot take is that this defense is going to lead the league in takeaways this year. And we forget, as bad as they were last year, they were 7th in the league in takeaways. These guys have it in them. They're going to play with the lead a lot more often. They're going to play more free and not thinking so much. And guys like Geno Stone and Dax Hill and Cam, I think Cam's going to have a really big year. I can see this being a very, very good defense in that regard of being able to get turnovers. I don't know that they're going to be great at stopping the run or great at points allowed per game, that type of thing, but they're going to come up with big plays and get turnovers. And we know this offense can convert those into points. And that can turn a 1-score game into a 2-score game in a hurry. And that's how you win games.
Absolutely. Sindustrious has a here. I'm guessing this is from a graphic that came out yesterday. I don't remember whose graphic it was or what company, but I don't know if you saw it. It had the Bengals as like the 7th best offense, had the Cardinals and all these other teams above them that just seemed a little crazy. So where would you put the Bengals on your list of top offenses throughout the NFL? Would they be in your top 5, your top 3, even if you don't want to give a specific number?
Yeah, I think they have to be top 5 just off the jump. And then if Dylan Fairchild pans out and Lucas Patrick plays well, if you erase those question marks on the offensive line, there's no reason this offense can't be number one in the league. I mean, I think Chase Brown is going to have a fantastic year, and I love Taj Brooks. I really think he's going to be that complement piece. It's great that I'm glad that Zach Moss is back. There was a fear that neck injury could be career-ending. It doesn't look like that's going to be the case, but with Samaje Perine here now and Taj Brooks, I think Zach Moss has a ways to go to kind of work his way into the plan. But Taj Brooks can really be a dynamic guy. And as much as they love Chase Brown and want to lean on him, he is still a smaller frame. And you do worry about the wear and the tear and him taking the pounding over and again. I keep going back to it, but if they build leads and they're playing in the second half with leads, you're going to run the ball more often. There's going to be more carries to go around. Samaje Perine is an incredible finisher. I remember when he was here before he left, that Jets game. I mean, there was games when they had a lead and everybody in the stadium knew they were going to run the ball, and he's still getting 7, 8, 9 yards a carry. So and then Gesicki, the wild card for everybody, Jermaine Burton, if his head really is on straight and he's in a good headspace, and we all know the weapon he can be, plus the top guys and Chase and Higgins and Burrow's going to be himself. I mean, it could be the number one defense in the league, and they could set some franchise records too, as far as points, yards, all that stuff.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah, you mentioned Jermaine Burton. Oh, go ahead, Chop.
Go ahead. You're following up.
Yeah, he mentioned Jermaine Burton, and that was one I had on here. I know everybody seems to get back on the Jermaine Burton hype train again. He seems like he's in a good mental place. What are realistic expectations for him? Because I still expect Yoshi to probably be that starter in the slot. I know they move all those guys around. But is Jermaine Burton, maybe a few deep shots a game, or could he even take over that number 3 role throughout the year? Because, we know the talent's there.
Yeah, he's going to have to really step up and be dynamic to be in the mix for that. The question with him is, can he win one of the return jobs? Because that might be the only way he's active on game day. Like, he can make this team, but if Charlie Jones is the returner and you've got Yoshi and you've got T and you've got Jamar and Gesicki's really more of a receiver than a tight end, there's just not room on the game day roster for all those wide receivers. So I think that's going to be the big thing to watch in camp is how Jermaine does in the return game. And I thought he was terrific last year in training camp when he got his shot. He had never returned kicks before, and he had a couple really good ones against the Bears in that preseason game. And Charlie Jones does have an injury history. If Charlie gets nicked up again, that could be the window that opens it up for Jermaine to slide in there and win that job. But realistically, I think making the 53 and then fighting to be active on game day is it. I don't see him having a huge year this year, but injuries happen, improvement happens towards the end of the year. His role could start to grow, and then things might really open up next year. And I forgot to even mention Yoshi when I was talking about all those receivers too. So it's going to be a climb for him, but I think what he did last year and the trust that was broken, baby steps are going to be the key this year. And then maybe in 2026, we can start talking about him and having a really dynamic role in this offense.
Jesus Christ. If Jermaine Burton can be Jermaine Burton, with T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, man,
and Gesicki and Chase Brown. And
that's what I'm saying. It's ridiculous. What I was going to ask you is, you were getting excited about Taj Brooks. That is the running back that I wanted the entire time. I call him like the one-man tush push. Just get us that 1 yard every time. But my question for you was, out of the 6 picks that we got this year, which one are you most excited for?
Yeah, I would say Taj, but he's not going to have a huge role. I think it's Demetrius Knight. Okay. They moved on from Jermaine. There you go. He did what Shamar Stewart didn't do. He didn't sign his contract, but he signed the injury waiver. Right. He was on the field, and he's 25. He's married. The story's out there. He's got kids. He's a mature guy, and he carries himself that way. And he's taking this serious. Not that all rookies don't, but it's just he's doing everything right, and the teammates notice that right off the jump, that this is a different guy. He doesn't feel like a rookie, and he's had this really impressive climb through the lower ranks of college up to the SEC, and now a second-round pick. And a guy that Al Golden has a history with linebackers. He developed Logan. He developed Jermaine Pratt. I just think he is in a great spot. He's going to start. I just think Oren Burks is going to be more of a backup and a special teams guy. Demetrius is going to start next to Logan Wilson. And I think he's going to have a big impact on this defense. And I'm excited to see what it looks like.
Jay, I'm going to go back. Cam Taylor-Britt, this is another big year for him. He's on a contract year right now. Obviously, it was a disappointing year for him last year where he even got benched during a game. What do you think was the issue with Cam Taylor-Britt, and do you see him rebounding this year?
So, he came on so strong and kind of was a big breakout pick early in his career. And I think he kind of got enamored with the big plays and going for the picks instead of playing within the framework of the defense. And I think he struggled somewhat. He is one of those guys that are so instinctual and twitchy, and that's what he needs to rely on. And he was thinking too much. And there was a great level of respect between him and Lou Anarumo, but there's also a great level of frustration where Cam would do things that Lou didn't want him to do, and it led to that benching in Carolina that you mentioned. And there was somewhere later in the year too, I think he got pulled once. And I think this is a great spot for him to kind of have a clean slate. And he was my pick to be the breakout player for this team this year. Just because we've seen it before. It's not a guy that you're just waiting to pop. We've seen him do it before. We know it's in him. And as you said, if you're picking breakout players, a great place to start is guys that are in contract years, because Marvin Lewis always used to say, give me a roster full of contract guys and we are going to have a great team. There's just something it's not that they don't try when they're not in a contract year, but there's just that extra something when guys know they're playing for a new deal. And I don't know that Cam's new contract is going to be with this team. That's a decision they're going to have to make, especially after they already picked up the 5th year on Dax Hill. But he's going to get paid somewhere if he can have a big year. He knows that, and I expect him to have a big year.
Well, if he has a really big year, he's got Mulgett as his agent, so that would be a problem right there.
I don't think is that his actual agent? I think he could be part of that agency, but I think there's different agents. I'm not 100% sure on if that's his actual agent.
Yeah, I don't have the list in front of me. I don't remember him being a Mulgett guy. But
yeah, I don't think he is. I think that was something floated out there on the internet, and you're supposed to believe everything on the internet, right? But I think that may be true. You were reading my mind. Literally, the last questions I had on here is, who is a breakout candidate in your opinion? You already answered it before I even asked it, and Cam Taylor-Britt. So I'll pivot off of that. Charlie Jones, you mentioned him earlier. Isaiah Williams, the guy they brought in off the waiver wire. He was an undrafted free agent out of that came to Detroit out of Illinois. Is Charlie Jones' roster spot safe? I know we mentioned Jermaine Burton. I feel like Isaiah Williams is there. I think Charlie Jones, if he has any kind of hiccups, even with staying healthy during training camp, that he might not have a spot on this 53. What are your thoughts on him?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's safe. And that the reason Isaiah was brought in because Charlie was hurt, and they were desperate to find returner pop. And he's a guy I don't know that he gives you much as an actual receiver, whereas Charlie could. If it comes together for Charlie, I think he could be a weapon in the slot. And we know Jermaine's got the talent. So that all three of those guys, it's going to come down to which of them can win the returner jobs. And I don't know, are we going to see one return kicks and one return punts, or are they just going to get one guy to do both? We saw all three of them doing both in the offseason as they're working through it. But Charlie Jones has been a disappointment so far, and a lot of it's because of the health issues. But then I can't remember who asked this on Twitter, but he's one of two players in Bengals history that has a punt return for a touchdown and a kickoff return for a touchdown.
He does stat of the J, right?
Yeah, it was. And it was based on a question that someone threw out on Twitter, and he's got that juice to him, and he's just one of those guys that's a little bit slighter, and staying healthy is going to be an issue, but that's going to be a really interesting battle in training camp to see which of those three guys wins that position, because it's not just going to be winning the job returning kicks, it's going to be winning a roster spot.
All right. Well, Jay, we told you we try to get you out of here around 30 minutes, and we're 30 minutes in. It's always incredible to have you on. I appreciate you taking some of your time during your little break here to give us some time today. And go ahead and plug everywhere that people can find you and check out your stuff. I think most people know, but, we'll give the plugs anyways.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, I didn't want to fail you guys by not drinking a beer on the show, but I am about to go operate a chainsaw, so I thought it'd be best if I didn't do that. So, but yeah, you can follow me on X at @ByJMorrison, Paul Dehner Jr. and I with the Growler podcast, and then BengalsTalk.com with James Rapine on the Sports Illustrated network. All my stuff is there, and I've kind of slowed down on the stat of the J. It's hard to do in the off season. But that will be back full bore in season. And you really, once training camp fires up, I think I'll get back to doing one of those every day. And so always appreciate the feedback on those. And anybody watching this, you want to shoot me a question, you want to say, hey, I want to know this stat. I love looking that stuff up. I don't view it as a chore. So by all means, fire your questions at me.
Awesome. The Trey Henderson one blew my mind the other day that you tossed it out. Yeah, I was like, wow.
Yeah. And a lot of times, when you're behind, the other team might be running a lot, but it's today's NFL. Teams are still passing, and that wasn't like behind in the fourth quarter. That was trailing or behind or trailing or tied at any point in the game. And one of his 17.5 sacks came in those scenarios last year.
Wow. But thank you so much, Jay, for your time.
Sure.
Be careful with the chainsaw. Okay.
I will.
Be careful. All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Good dude right there.
Good stuff. Good stuff from Jay as always.
But yeah, the Trey Henderson stat. Did you guys see that? He mentioned it there.
No,
but
what was that? No. Tell me.
Okay, so I seen that a couple days ago, and it's so when we are tied or losing, he only had one of his 17.5 sacks the entire season. The other 16.5 came when we were winning, which obviously you're winning. The other team has to pass.
They have to throw the ball.
Right.
But like he said, that's all game long. And we were losing a lot. We were tied a lot.
Yeah.
To only have one out of 17.5 sacks is kind of one of those stats by Jay that you're just like, that's a crazy stat to have 17.5 and only one of them when you're tied or losing. So I just thought that was interesting because, I'm a big Trey Henderson guy. So I don't hate on him like most people, but that is pretty telling. You want a guy to still be able to get you sacks when you're down, because you're going to be down 3, you're going to be down 7. You need one defensive play. How many times? You'd want your best player to come in there and get a play. And, well, he didn't do that very often. So I thought that was interesting.
That is.
It's always interesting. Midwest Best Barbecue and the Chop Shop, proud sponsor of that show. Always an interesting place to visit and always an interesting place to buy shirts off of. That's always interesting.
And, hey, Jay talked a lot about Demetrius Knight. Got this banger.
Yes, he did. Looking good, Chop.
Right. He was killing me because, not in a bad way, in a good way. I'm like, okay, I got on here. How does the cornerback position played out? Not a question. He started talking about Newton. He thought Dax would be in the slot. Nailed all that. He brings up Jermaine Burton. I had realistic expectations for Jermaine Burton. And then I had breakout candidate. So 3 of my questions of 6 or 7, he answered before I ever asked him. So the guy was on it. What the hell is fucking important on your phones?
The boss.
No, I was looking for my Chop Shop got brought up, and I have another.
I mean, you would. Hey, Dale, here you wouldn't even know that I was on there if I got like this.
Yeah, exactly. I was looking at I was seeing when my Chop Shop tank top was coming in. I swear it's coming in tomorrow. Damn it!
Hell yeah!
Thanks a lot, Chop. I want fast shipping here, buddy.
Oh no, I really didn't care, but I was shipping.
It's only
you're both staring at your phones all of a sudden, and I had nothing to say. I was like, and you guys were just staring at your phones. I was like,
what no, because I'm like checking. Because I'm like, is it at the doorstep so I can put it on? But no, I got a Chop Shop tank top Hulkamania shirt coming in. I'll be wearing that son of a bitch at training camp all the time.
Yeah.
With sunscreen.
It's hot outside, man. So Greg said make tank tops. I made tank tops.
Well, actually, I think that was Dale that said make tank tops, but still, it's a great idea.
It might have been Santori, actually.
Santori, yes.
Yeah, it's true. It's also a strip club in Pennsylvania. The Chop Shop tank top. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's where I got
Well,
the idea.
one guy bought what, 3 or 4 of them?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
posted about
Jungle
it. So
King.
shout out to that guy.
Yeah. Yep. I appreciate that. That's, to tell you the truth, man, like I got some people constantly are trying to like get money out of me to upgrade my store and stuff. But I mean, the fact of the matter is I don't do it for the cash. I barely make anything. I just do the $20 shirts. Like, I guess if I printed them myself, I could make some money. That'd be a lot of upfront costs. But I just like, I don't know. I feel good when people buy a design. You know what I mean? I like sharing them.
You do a hell of a job, buddy. You're nailing it.
Yeah,
every
I mean,
single day.
any little bit amount of money you make, I mean, the hours you put in designing the shirts, when Al doesn't do it for you.
You're right. Not Apple, but Chat GPT. I just actually went and bought the fucking premium package on that one because I've been.
And the new Bengals and Bruce one, whereas the name tag Bruker on it, that was genius, John.
Oh yeah. I like that one. It was
That's a
just
good
one of the designs I came up with. And I thought, well, I put a name tag on that. That'd be cool.
Well, Chop, I don't want you to reveal, but what about the design I was recommending for you?
I've been kicking it around.
All right, it's on the shelf. It's on the shelf.
Hopefully never to answer that one, Will.
Yes,
That's
that's a
yes!
crazy.
Yes!
Oh God.
boom.
Boom,
Bro,
here we go.
I seen it in the chat and I was like, what the hell is this? I showed the kids. I'm like, man, this is scary. And they're like, that's you. I didn't realize it was me at first.
Oh my God. I just got an idea.
Wait, hold on. I got an idea too. I'll be right back.
Well, did you see what Marshall did? Where he put it into like Stonehenge, and then he also put like with the other faces. Then he also put it on Mount. He put one on Mount Rushmore. Yeah.
Did he put it on Easter Island? On one of those statues?
With the faces? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what it reminds me of, is like the Easter Island.
Oh yeah. You have to check it out. So hold on. I'll do, I'll go find this. You start venturing to Twitter.
Oh, get on my phone is what you're saying?
No, your computer.
Oh, get on my computer. That's a good idea. I'm sitting right.
So you can bring it up on here.
Oh. Oh yeah, I'm looking for Marshall.
I gotta find it. All right, and I'll retweet those, so they'll be at the top of the Bengals and Brews page for you.
Oh, okay.
So then you can share those on here for anyone who hasn't seen them. And then if you want to, find the original afterwards, that thing is fucking terrifying.
I know, right? Nah, not really though.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it is. He said it don't do beards very well, so it just looks like all chin.
Dale, you're breaking up a little bit here and there.
It's
You're
quite
kind of like going, just so you know. So we may have to.
No, I was actually fucking a goat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That'll add something. You're okay.
It's actually why the camera's off.
There you go.
That's good right there, man.
There's
Unbelievable.
This is
That one's even
And
better.
then
Yes.
that one. And is that what you were thinking in your head?
yeah,
Marshall's
that's what I was
already
thinking, man.
Marshall's already done it.
Marshall
Yeah.
gonna be an employee of the chop shop. Oh look. Looks like we're on live. See that?
That's
Yeah.
cool.
We're watching us. Watch
Yeah,
us.
we're watching us. Watch us. Oh yeah, that's awesome.
But
I
yeah,
gotta
you
tell
should.
ya, this
Yeah.
might be the one.
Oh, you like that one better than the other
I
one?
don't know, man. I like them both so much.
It's
That should
definitely
be a
something.
magnet. That should be
Scroll-
a magnet
scroll-
or something.
Scroll down and find the original for everyone who hasn't seen it. And for podcast listeners, you'll just have to tune in to see that. Yeah, there's that.
Oh,
There
monstrosity.
you go.
Looks like a
That's-
gnome.
I'm assuming Darth's hand, so it's a tiny little
You're
3D
right.
print. Wow, that is
That's
terrifying.
something.
That's he calls that his pocket Dale. He likes to keep your little Dale in his pocket wherever he goes.
Yeah, he rubs it for luck,
Right. Yeah. He reaches down in his pocket and he starts rubbing for luck.
But yeah, that's terrifying.
He should
Yeah.
start printing those out like chains. That way everybody could have a little Dale in their pocket.
Yeah, like a totem, or put it on a chain.
Like, good luck. Yeah,
Like-
you could put it on a keychain. Little Dale on your keychain.
Or like an actual, around your neck chain. Make
Oh.
them to where it's just my face on a chain. And
Cut the shoulders off. Make it a little bigger like Shamar Stewart's pendant.
Yeah, just a face. Yeah.
It'd be the Dale.
It's
I think
something.
you're onto something.
Yeah.
I like it.
It's terrifying, but all right. Well, I just figured we'd bring it up since we were talking about it.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's hilarious.
We do not have to keep it up, though.
Oh,
Phew, God, that is terrifying.
Oh my God. Yeah, but like I say, since we talked about this with Jay, the Steelers. At first, I'm like, oh shit, they got Ramsey, they got the best defensive backfield. But then I saw the trade update. I'm like, wait a minute, they got rid of Mink. I thought that was a joke.
hey,
first.
you know what, Greg? What I say? Bye, bitch.
No, I was gonna say, did they not watch clearly the Steelers did not watch Super Bowl. We torched Ramsey because, like Jay was saying, Minka was giving Chase issues. Hey, go for it, man. What do I care?
Well, it also just feels like Jalen Ramsey isn't the same Jalen Ramsey that he was, when he was facing AJ Green years ago, even, and getting in his head. He's not that same player. I get it. Their secondary was awful. Now they got Porter, Darius Slay, him. So, I mean, they do have some guys, but
Right.
I thought Minka was one of their best guys in the entire secondary.
Well, okay, Ramsey's 30, Minka's 28. That's 2 years right there. That just doesn't make any sense. And Smith, Dale, fill me in on Smith. Was he that good of a tight end really last year? Or
I think he's pretty good, but I don't know his age either. I feel like he's getting up there, getting older. And I think like Steelers fans trying to justify, like, especially adding him, which they've been interested in adding him, but where they don't have a second receiver, he's could be basically their second receiving option. I know they have Freiermuth there at tight end still as well, but Freiermuth isn't as explosive as Jonnu Smith. He's a little bit more of a big play guy, can put up some yards after the catch and stuff like that, just get the ball in his hands. So I don't think he's really brought in to be a true tight end. He's almost brought in to be like their second receiving option.
yeah. So what's your grade? Now, like just ignoring the Steelers, what's your grade for both teams? Who won the trade and what's your grade?
I mean, to me, I would just say the Dolphins won the trade, just for the simple fact that they got the best player. In my opinion, I think Minka's the best player. He's still younger. I think that's the better player.
I love him for posing for that picture that I got hanging up with Jamar Chase. That's my favorite Minka Fitzpatrick moment. Yep. I already just went on there and switched my screens and sent your order into production, Matt. Matt, coming through, man. Must be Matt's payday because he 4 shirts.
Oh, geez.
Sheesh, man,
Fitzpatrick is only 28. How old's Ramsey?
30. He's 30.
Man, you just remember Jalen Ramsey. What I remember is T. Higgins just like fucking throwing that dude on the ground, which was a penalty.
It
during the
was.
Super Bowl that we didn't get called, and he ran it in for a touchdown. But man, he was just like, bam.
People forget Ramsey tripped. But we're not going to talk about that because I can't.
It's going to be an interesting season watching. I think it's going to be interesting with Cam Taylor-Britt and DK Metcalf, and I think it's also going to be interesting with Ramsey against like T and Chase.
Yeah.
I don't think T and Chase have a problem with Ramsey. I just think it's going to be interesting because of the history.
Yeah.
Well, and that's
Like
just
I
who
said,
Ramsey is. He's a mouthy guy, so he's going to be shit talking. Chase will give it right back to him. So that's the thing. Chase has to keep his head on him though about it. You know what I mean? Because that's a bigger loss for us if we're playing them and he gets Chase kicked out while he gets kicked out. So just something to think about.
I just don't. Look, man, I fucking hate the Steelers, but I've always felt like they were a solid, old school football organization. They always made the right moves, and this year, it's like they're having their first break of schizophrenia. They're like fucking going crazy, like they're doing all these like non-Steeler things, bringing in Aaron Rodgers, who's a head case, DK Metcalf, who's a head case. Jalen Ramsey's age. It's just seems like they're doing un-Steeler like shit. Do you think so?
And as Jay mentioned, it's like they're really kind of going for it this 1 year because Aaron's not going to play beyond this year. And I mean, they drafted Will Howard in the 6th round. You don't even know what you have there.
Right.
They're in one of those spots like, they would be best off to have a top 10 pick and actually get a quarterback, but they're in like no man's land. So if they finish a little below 500 and miss the playoffs after all this, it's just like, what was the point? Now you're picking at 16, 17 again or something stupid.
Right. If I'm Pittsburgh, I'm like, man, fucking throw Rudolph Mason out there or Mason Rudolph, whatever the fuck it is. Throw him out there and then hope. If I'm a Steelers fan, I'm like, for real, like, please let us suck 1 year. For sacrifice for the team for years to come to get a quarterback. I love it they brought in Aaron Rodgers because it just puts him in quarterback purgatory for another year.
Well, and Dale, to point out, Cameron Hayward, he's like up there in age, also 36 years. So like, look, we're just going to go all for it. We're going to get all these old veterans. But this is our last shot. By the way, TJ Watt. I love it how the NFL's not coming after the Steelers for TJ Watt when he's still disgruntled. He's still all this, and there's teams now calling about TJ Watt because if this was the Bengals with trades, like all typical Bengals, I just love it how everybody's totally ignoring the Steelers now with their drama with TJ Watt right now. I'm just
today they didn't know. Today they're talking about it. So.
But still, I feel like and I know Trey's gone to the media a lot more, but still with TJ though, man, it's just like the Steelers get a pass. We'll see, but it's like.
When you go to the media, that's when it gives the media much more to talk about, kind of like Shamar Stewart did where he made those comments, and Shamar Stewart also not practicing when every other player is practicing. I don't know. The whole Shamar Stewart thing honestly bothers me quite a bit. Like at least Trey, 17.5 sacks the last 2 seasons. Like he's earned the right to feel he deserves to be paid more. Shamar Stewart hasn't earned shit in my opinion, so it's like for him. And that, even with the comments, I was like, the comments aren't wrong. I agree with what he said about they would rather win negotiations. You can't say that. You haven't done anything here. You haven't practiced one fucking time, even, let alone played a game here. So I don't know. I do hope, like Jay said, he thinks that one will get done sooner, kind of like the Hamilton County. The deal to keep the Bengals here. So I'm hoping it does because I am just tired of hearing about any of it with Shamar Stewart. You're a rookie, man. You have 4.5 sacks in your entire college career. Get in here and get to work. There is no excuse not to be here on day 1 in training camp. None.
I agree. I'm kind of on Trey's side. I'm not quite at $35 or $36 million a year. But with Shamar Stewart, I'm totally on the Bengals side. Sorry, Greg. I feel like
No, it's okay. It's okay. But Cam Taylor-Britt. Yeah, Dale, I didn't mean to. I accidentally stole Dale's question about Cam Taylor-Britt being the breakout player and all that and stuff. But I mean, no. I'm kidding. I'm kidding and all that. But Cam Taylor-Britt. I said it last year. I thought he was a breakout player. I guess again he's a breakout player this year and all that. He. Like I say, man, I told you how I felt about this corner room, but I thought it was interesting how he said he's got to use what Cam Taylor's used doing. Don't think too much, just do what you're good at doing and all that. So I thought that was quite interesting right there. But and I look, Cam Taylor-Britt, we all love Cam, we love his family, and I want him here for quite some time. If he has another bounce back here, oh my gosh, I'll be so happy. But last year, like I say, hopefully Al Golden really helps out Cam this year.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a big year for him and a contract year. So, he's a prime candidate. Plus, if it's simplified and he's just playing better, because, it sounds like there were some issues with Lou with a lot of players and the things he was asking them to do, and they were thinking too much. And sometimes it can just go out there and do what got you here. You know what I mean? You're talented enough to be all these guys that were picked in the 1st, 2nd, 3rd round. You were talented enough to be picked that high for a reason. Now go out there and use your God-given abilities and do what you do. And play good football. Like, hopefully that's what we see. And that's what we're banking on because we got a lot of questions still in my opinion on defense.
Yeah. Any questions that I thought that could have been fixed in the offseason, but oh my God.
What was that?
Just need it. You just to bring it up.
I need a little Dale.
You're missing it. Little Dell in your life.
Fucking Darth in his spare time just sitting around like, what am I going to do? Let me fucking 3D print Dale's face.
Yeah.
Yeah, Wade Pratt was picked up immediately by the Raiders.
Raiders.
He got what, $5 million or so?
Yeah, 1 year,
like
$5
that.
million.
Yeah, which isn't
He's
a
the
bad
best
deal for
linebacker
him.
they got right now, isn't it?
Pretty much.
Probably.
I hope he has a good career, man. I appreciate him. He's the reason that the game that I missed, that he got that interception, is the reason I made sure that I don't miss anymore. Dale. I mean, but then they did jack the ticket price up fucking crazy.
Yeah. All because of those wins, you know. Now they need to get back there. Like, you going to lower the ticket prices because we haven't made the playoffs the last 2 years? No, you still been raising them.
Nah, man,
Yeah,
they're going to go ahead and give us a cut. They're sending all the tickets. Instead of a sticker this year, we're going to get like $100 bills, return money. Like, if you keep your tickets next year, they're going to give you a rebate if they don't get the playoffs this year.
So like a stimulus check or something?
Yeah, like a stimulus check. So if they don't make the playoffs this year, instead of a sticker, we can. I feel like we can be confident to get like an envelope full of $100 bills.
Yeah,
on the money we paid extra for a team that didn't get to the playoffs. We're in negotiations right now.
But yeah, anything else Bengals related, football related, life related? Anything exciting?
It's not exciting. What's your take? This is more of a fashion question. The Bengals training camp hats. What's your guys' take on that? I mean, do you think they just ran out of designs?
Right.
I think Chop needs to get involved here,
Right?
And get his Chop Shop logos more creative. But it's like a little tiny bee and all that. I just want to think to myself. I mean, what do they just do? How does that go? Does everybody just sit around like, all right, I'm running out of ideas. Let's just do a little small, tiny logo. What do y'all think? I mean, what's your guys' take on that?
Yeah, I think I seen it, but yeah, obviously it didn't stand out. Yeah, I thought they looked dumb as hell. A lot of that stuff does. I haven't really liked draft hats a lot. Draft hats used to be awesome. Used to be something I'd get like every year. Draft hats were just like, oh, I gotta have that. That's sweet.
The last good draft hat was that Bengals hat you see me wear. It's like the black hat with the little orange stripes. That was awesome. That what Joe Burrow was wearing. But like you said, Dill, the draft hats. Horrible this year. They've been horrible.
I don't know if it's that Stewart doesn't want to play here. I just think he's getting bad advice from his agent and his dad. I don't know, man. I just feel like he's listening to their advice, and he should have at least, at minimum, signed that injury waiver and been practicing. In my opinion, like there's no reason not to get those reps.
The question I should have asked Jay was, because I wonder, like, if the Bengals were just like, fuck it, let's just trade him. Can they do that? And what are the stipulations of what they could trade a first-round pick to another team for? Because it almost sounds like it'd be some kind of collusion between teams to make trades for better picks. If that's possible that you could do that, like some backdoor shit. You know what I'm saying?
I think they can trade him, but I have no idea. You know what I mean? Like, you can pretty much trade anybody. I know he hasn't signed his contract. I don't know if he'd have to sign for them to trade. I don't know. I feel like I read it at one point, but I just don't think any of that's happening. I mean, I guess if it goes into the season, then it's something we'll probably be talking a lot more about, because if he's even holding out a week into camp, I would start looking at that option. I wouldn't be done with this bullshit. But your return on investment is not going to be great. You know what I mean? You put first-round draft capital into him, and you'd be lucky to maybe get a player a team wants to cut, maybe a mid-round pick at best. I just don't think you'd get much back for him.
Well, yeah, you heard what Jay said. There's no point backing down now. You made this far. There's no point in backing down if you're Stewart.
He was talking about on Stewart's side of it, right?
Yeah.
I feel the same way about the Bengals side of it. Like, you dug your feet in. You've been trying to get this done for 3 years now, and the difference is that the two guys previous didn't run their mouth in the media talking about it and slandering the Bengals. So if I'm the Bengals and I'm really trying to get this done for 3 years, this is the year I stick it. Like, bro, you shouldn't have went out and ran your fucking mouth. That's why we're making it stick this year. Sign or redraft. Up to you. Thank you, sir.
Well, and it's not even just the players around them. Pick 16 and
Yeah.
have the same language, but like I heard something that Abdul Carter, who was like what the 3rd overall pick, he has the same thing. So it's like, and he's at your similar position as an edge rusher, and he was picked 3rd overall, and he's signing it, and he's out there, and injury and this and that, and practicing, and he's I think signed his deal. That's what I'm saying. He signed it with that language in there. Why are you so much better than him? I know you could say, well, Miles Murphy. Okay, that was 2 years ago. Things change. You're not him. This is 2 years later. This is more common now in the NFL, so sign it. I just think it's silly. But if it does mean, like Jay said, the Bengals give something else in there, I think that's – when the agent was on somewhere and I was listening to him talk, it sounded like that's what they were thinking. Like a lot of other teams will give you this in the contract if we're going to sign that has that in it. So the Bengals just need to not be stubborn either, But yeah, Shamar, I don't know, man. It just seems like he's getting bad advice, though. I can't defend him anymore about his part of it.
Like, I mean, does this kid really want to play? Or like these players, like I'm hoping that they're in his ear, like, and they're letting him know, like, if that's the way it is that he's getting bad advice, maybe the only person he's going to listen to is these players in the locker room telling him, like, bro, you're getting bad advice from a guy who's barely an agent with a handful of agents, with a small handful of players in the NFL, and I just think, man, I'm very frustrated, and I'm upset that here we have a chance for a good offseason, and then one position is fucking up our whole entire offseason. We're not talking about the O-line improving. We're not talking about our new linebacker core, which pretty much has been totally revamped. We're not talking about anything except we're talking about that one fucking spot, that defensive end, because of what's going on with Trey, and then the guy that we drafted as possible replacement to Trey not practicing either.
I do wonder about this with NIL money and stuff now. These kids, if you're a good player and you're probably going to end up going first round of the draft, by the time you're done with college at this point, if you've saved up your money, but you've probably made an NIL money. Some of these guys are making $3-4 million. That's not even talking quarterback. Some of the top quarterbacks are getting a lot more money, but a lot of these, best players on teams are getting $1 million or so each season. So it's like, I got $3 or $4 million. I don't know. It's just, it does make you wonder, like how that trend is going to go. Are we going to start seeing more of this shit, where players are like, no, I won't this exact language. Like, I just think it's headed in a bad direction, probably.
Well, I think Dale, my memory's gone bad. Was it you? I think it may have been my brother I was talking to. I heard they're putting a big stop, like not a stop, but they're like, look, you can't just keep transferring and getting all this money. I think they're going to lay down some ground rules for it next year.
I think they're going to try to regulate things more, but I just feel like once the genie's out of the bottle, like it's going to be hard, to get it back in.
Look at the second round. There's only 2 second-round picks even signed because both of them got fully guaranteed contracts. And so now all the second-round picks want fully guaranteed contracts just like the first round. Thank you, fucking Browns. All this shit started with Deshaun Watson.
Oh my God.
Assholes.
The motherfucking Browns ruined the NFL.
They just have.
It's in a few weeks, right? It's did Jay say something about 3 weeks?
It's getting close.
3 weeks. I do know that they did move camp earlier in the day this year to try to beat some of the heat. I think it's at 10 a.m. now instead of 1 p.m.
Yeah, it is. No. Yeah. I'm going to be using some of my vacation. I'll be trying to broadcast from Bengals and Bruce like I did one time when I was down there one time.
Oh, that'd be
everybody
fun.
kept looking at me weird.
Wasn't because of the broadcast.
You're going to be broadcasting at 10 a.m. because I ain't coming on here at 10 a.m.
Oh, yes, you are.
Yeah.
I'll be next to Jeff. At training camp.
You and Jeff will be on Sports with Strawberry Ice live from training camp, huh?
Wednesday, July 23rd, it starts. And yes, Chop, like you said, 10 a.m. practice begins. Yeah, none of that 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. I'm an early bird. I'll be there at 6 in the morning probably.
Man, it's going to be the first week of camp, or second week of camp, and I'll be on my vacation.
I was just going to say, you could get off work. Greg's going down there at 6 in the morning anyways. You could get off work and go have breakfast with Greg, and then Greg could head on to training camp while you
That's
head
right.
on to
Bring me breakfast. He can bring me breakfast.
No, you can stop up there in Clifton. We can go to Hangover Easy, and you can get a Dirty Sanchez.
Well, bring it down to me at the tailgate, you
I'll
goober.
bring you Dirty Sanchez, Greg. Don't sweat it. I got you, bro.
All right.
But yeah,
Ooh,
guys.
nice.
Good show. Fun having Jay on.
Yeah.
Very knowledgeable. Obviously, everyone should
Absolutely.
follow Jay. Check out his articles with James Rapine. He's writing over there with the Sports Illustrated crew. So, shout out Jay. Appreciate his time once again.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate everybody else's time tuning in.
Appreciate you.
And everybody have a great week. If you missed Jay, if you're just now tuning in, we had Jay for the first 30 minutes. So very, very good stuff with Jay. And good job, Greg, getting that set up.
And also we had Little Dale.
Little Dale.
That's terrifying.
It's awesome.
It's
It's
something.
a new Terrifier, is it?
It might be Terrifier 4.
Yeah, Terrifier 4. Little Dale takes over.
That might be the only way to defeat that motherfucker, honestly.
Yeah, right? Yes.
I might have to full body paint myself like that.
Yes.
Go for it.
When you do come to a
That
game
would be
this year, you got to
hilarious.
come as Little Dale. Just get one of those goddamn orange bodysuits. Those all overs, and then we'll just we'll get paint little eyes on there.
Well, I was gonna say, or could just make a full mask at that point.
And you could
It's
there you go.
Yeah.
You could do a full mask, so you could go as Dale.
Yes, it's like Sting back in the day, in the wrestling days, where he was wearing a Sting mask and takes it off, and he's got
Sting.
the face paint on. Yeah,
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Everyone have a great week though. Who Dey?